Well, we finally done it. We finally reached the culmination point. The battle between those who despise the direction of Disney and the Igerites who are all trying to defend the Chinese connections, the ESG, the DEI, the Reimagine Tomorrow, and everything else we've been talking about for years. This is it. Next week, the earnings report. Iger back in the captain's chair and weaker than we've ever seen him. Simultaneously, we've got Nelson Peltz trying to expose Disney's Chinese connections and get a seat on the board. We've got DeSantis revoking Disney World's status in the exact same week, exactly at the same time as Iger trying to have this earnings report. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of drama. Hang in there. And guess what else? Disney's already trying to get ahead of this thing, putting out what I would call a PSY operation. They're putting out polling, Fortune's in with them. It's just too bad that I have the actual poll. Get ready, I'll explain. Never have I ever seen the Walt Disney Company in the situation that it finds itself in today. If we look back at the history of the company, we find all kinds of places where there was conflict, where there was turmoil. But this is unique, and that's why it is a doozy of a video. All of the forces that have been out to get Disney, whether rightly or wrongly, whether because Disney is making the right choices in the viewpoint of history, or whether Disney is acting very politically and divisively in a way that's damaging them, whatever you may think about that, all of the forces that are opposed to what Disney has been doing are beginning to come together all at once. And it is quite the thing to see. As we get into this video, go ahead and click the like button, share this out, subscribe if you haven't, and click it and stick it to the algorithms by checking that little notification bell. Here we go. This is something else. One of the first things that I saw this week that really indicated to me that Disney was in a spot was this article out of WDW Magic. But I think this went mostly unnoticed. The title is Disney Remains Most Admired Media and Entertainment Company According to Fortune. Well, what an interesting thing that is, because I don't think that's true at all. In fact, I think that is anti-true. I think that is about as far from the truth as possible. And so I saw this and I thought, well, that's interesting. And I don't blame WDW Magic for carrying this. They have to report the news. And well, this is in the news because this is being reported by Fortune. Blame Fortune, right? Let's read the article and then we're going to get into why this is happening and what really is going on. And this, like I said, this is something. For the 20th consecutive year, the Walt Disney Company has been recognized as the top-ranked media and entertainment company on Fortune's annual list of the world's most admired companies. Disney ranked number 6 overall among the 324 listed companies from across the globe. Okay. Let's dig a little deeper. Fortune's list was topped by Apple, followed by Amazon, and then Microsoft. All right. Well, of those, I can find some outliers that I probably don't think are all that well admired, but let's continue. Disney earned top marks in a significant number of areas, including innovation, people management, use of corporate assets, social responsibility, quality of management. Well, they got rid of their CEO. It can't be that great, right? Financial soundness, long-term investment value, quality of products and services, and global competitiveness. Let's continue. Hang in there, everybody. We're going to get to the fun part in just a moment. Fortune once again partnered with the global management consulting firm Korn Ferry to identify and rank the world's most admired companies in its annual study. Okay, so this is actually by Korn Ferry. Interesting. Okay. To compile the list, Fortune began with 1,500 companies from 52 industries worldwide, the 1,000 largest U.S. companies ranked by revenue, along with non-U.S. companies in Fortune's, well, it's blocked by an ad. Good job there, WW Magic. With revenues of $10 billion or more, and determined the highest revenue companies in each industry for a total of 645 in 27 different countries. Korn Ferry. All right, here now we're going to get into how this really is figured out. Everybody pay attention. Korn Ferry then surveyed executives. So again, they essentially picked every big company there was, Korn Ferry then surveyed executives, directors, and analysts from the top companies. So only the executives, the directors, and the analysts. Doesn't say which executives, which directors, and which analysts. We're betting not every one of them. From the top companies, asking them to rate enterprises in their respective industries on 9 criteria. So this is probably one of those emails that goes out that maybe 1% of the people actually take the time to click on. Korn Ferry also asked 3,760 executives, directors, and security analysts. By the way, that doesn't say that those people responded. It says they asked. You got to pay attention to these semantics. Who had responded to the industry surveys to select the 10 companies they admired most in order to determine Fortune's ranked top 50. All right. Question. Did Fortune lay that out really in what they were saying? Did Fortune really make that easy to understand that, no, this is not the most admired companies. This is not the world's most admired companies, like in the way you would traditionally see it. This is, of those companies we've pre-selected as being the biggest, these are the ones that are most admired by the select individuals within those biggest companies who chose the top of the top. See how convoluted that is just to even explain it? You know what is a better way to determine if a company is most admired or more admired? Well, I do, and it's called traditional polling. Let's take a look at that, and let's see if Disney is still the most admired. What do we have here? Well, we have polling, actually. This is by the Hart Research Associates and Public Opinion Strategies. This is from the middle of last year, which, by the way, is before Lightyear came out and was a bomb. It's before Strange World came out and was a bomb. It's before a lot of stuff happened that has been mostly negative about Disney. It's before their CEO was sent packing. It's before they had their chairperson of the board removed. It's before all of that. Well, so this is a poll that is a traditional poll that looks into mostly political stuff. But because Disney became political, see, there's Joe Biden, and well, there's Donald Trump. And, well, okay. But because Disney became political, guess what? Disney made the list. And if we look at this, from 2022, the middle of it, remind you, in my opinion, things got worse. Not better, worse since this poll. Disney, very positive, 15. Somewhat positive, 18. Okay? Neutral, 30. Somewhat negative, 15. Very negative, 15. What's that tell you? It tells me that Disney has 60% of the polled public, not the top executives and analysts of the top companies. No, that's ridiculous. Of just the public, regular people, consumers, customers, 60%, 30 plus 15 plus 15. 60% are either neutral about Disney or now negative about Disney. And it's not like the remainder is all positive. 7% just didn't even know what to say. 60% negativity for Disney. Now, you might say, well, look at Kamala Harris and look at the Supreme Court and look at Ron DeSantis and look at blah, 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 blah. Those are political figures or governmental entities. Disney is a corporation that's supposed to create fun entertainment for families. Disney's positivity, Disney's approval should be at like 90% plus, just like every other company that wants to sell you stuff. When a company becomes political, they begin to be treated in a political manner, in a divisive manner. And what it does is it alienates a significant portion of the consumers out there. So this is a real poll. This is not a ridiculous, convoluted Fortune 500 poll that's intended to game the system. All right? Real poll. Real numbers. Again, not throwing shade at WDW Magic. They're reporting the news. Fortune put that out there. So be it. But I'll guarantee you it's out there for a reason. And here's what we're finding out. We're finding out that Disney is getting themselves into a bit of trouble. We've known this for a while. Quite a while back, we had the Trafalgar Group, which is their conservative polling group. They're also rated extremely highly in terms of their polling. So whether they're liberal or conservative, I don't care. I care how accurate their polling is. They found that after the leaks of Reimagine Tomorrow, that Disney had, well, consumers had a 69.1% chance of supporting alternatives to Disney now versus 30.8 that were satisfied and were not going to find somebody else to play ball with. All right, let's go to another article from That Park Place. Ron DeSantis goes after Disney during their earnings call. Disney now, despite putting out that very positive spin on how they're the most admired entertainment company, bunch of bunk, total bunk. All right, it's not factual, it's not accurate. Disney is facing a full-on siege, a full-on assault from multiple directions. First direction, Ron DeSantis is going after them, and this is the big one. Disney has a huge earnings call coming up next week. It's the first time that Robert Iger is going to do the earnings call since taking back over once they kicked Chapek out. And we now have some better ideas of why Iger was selected to come in there and do it. None of them seeming to be good for the business side of thing, and all of it seeming to be based around socio-cultural political issues. Let's read this. After throwing away a CEO that lasted all of 11 months, followed by replacing the chair of the board of the company and dropping a director position to try to stave off outside influences, Robert Iger is staring at a massively important earnings report. February 8th is dead set in the middle of the upcoming week. It's also when Iger will try to bring a calming presence to a company in chaos. But a push by Nelson Peltz and his Trian group is no longer the only shark in the water looking to crash on Iger's party. Here's the big thing. That's already a very serious push from a serious investment group. But now on top of that, Disney will convene their earnings report right in the middle of a full-on siege by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his conservative cohorts of the Sunshine State. While Disney is delivering their earnings report with Iger back at the helm at the first time, DeSantis has set into motion a plan to revoke Disney World's self-governance powers. Reedy Creek, also known as RCID, which we have covered extensively, is the one-of-a-kind special district that Disney has a competitive advantage and has had that for decades. It is part of the reason that Disney World is the crown jewel in all of Disney's massive portfolio. Now it's about to be dissolved. Here's what's happening. Disney has this earnings report. It's a huge deal. They're in the middle of a massive attempt by Nelson Peltz to get a seat on the board and heavily influence Disney in what I view to be a positive business direction, but what those who are ideologically driven view as to be, well, they just don't like Nelson Peltz. He's an activist investor, let's say. So we've got Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, setting into motion the apparatus to revoke Disney's self-governance of Walt Disney World during the exact same week that Iger needs to bring calm to the company with an earnings report. You think that is just happenstance? I don't think so. There's no way that is happenstance. That is 100% coming from, well, savvy politics, let's say. Now, again, what do we have? We've got the issue of Peltz at the same time. So not only is Ron DeSantis attempting to dissolve Disney's self-governance of Disney World, but now we also have Nelson Peltz with Trian Partners attempting to get on the board, and he's calling out Disney's connections to China. That's right. He's calling out Disney's connections to China, and he's wanting them to have to report on information regarding their relationship with the Communist Party of China. And that's all happening all at once next week. It is going to be an insane week for Disney. Perhaps Iger can sail right through it. Perhaps he will not have any problem. Maybe he's just that good. But I've never seen anything like this before. I don't know if Nelson Peltz will get on the board. I don't know how the stock price will change and if it's going up or down based on people wanting Peltz on the board or not wanting Peltz on the board. I don't know if DeSantis will completely dissolve Reedy Creek. I don't know if he will put his own representatives over the district. I don't know what will happen with these things. This is all in the future. And maybe nothing will come of it. But there might be. And if you are looking for a time in Disney's history where it has ever been smack dab in the middle of a culture war, a political war, an economic war between America and China, all of these different things are converging on top of this entertainment company, this Disney company. And most of it because the current CEO, Robert Iger, put the company into a political position, both before he left the first time and then by backing Chapek into a corner and forcing him to take a political position with the company. Now, Disney is the battleground. Disney is the battleground for so many different movements. And I don't know what's going to happen other than this company could come out of next week looking literally like Swiss cheese. Folks, that's the video, but there are going to be so many more pieces of information coming out. News breaking. You have got to be with us Sunday evening on the Renegade Online Show. It's 6 p.m. Eastern Time over on Valiant Renegade's channel. You have got to be with us for the live earnings report. We'll be doing commentary on Renegade's channel once more. That will be next week. And then, of course, I'm going to be putting out content nonstop covering all of this. If there's breaking news, there'll be a breaking video. This is something else. You have to understand the magnitude of what's happening. The crown jewel, that is Disney World, is losing its self-governance powers. It's massive. It's happening in the same week that they're doing their earnings call. The earnings call where Nelson Peltz is trying to blow up the connections between Disney and China and all of this corruption. Whatever you think, you may be on the side of Disney and Iger. It's still going to be incredibly fascinating. I cannot wait to share this ride with you and to continue to do my very best, just as Valiant will do, just as Legal Mindset will do, just as Jonas Campbell will do. We're all going to try to give you the truth. We're going to try to give it to you accurately. Look at the track record. Look at who told you, oh, Florida will never dissolve Reedy Creek. They'll never do it. Disney's too big. Versus, yeah, we told you it was going to happen. It would happen exactly this way. So there you go. Keep hanging in there. Keep growing. Keep learning. Keep having fun. We'll see you very, very soon. Until then, bye-bye.